Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway, and I'm dead excited today because I'm going to be trying something that I've never done before. So today I'm going to be trying to recreate some real trains, and lots of other YouTube users have done this in the past, and I've always loved the idea and I've always really wanted to do it, but for whatever reason I never did get around to it. So today I'm going to be recreating some real trains. Now of course, in order to do that you need a source of real trains in order to recreate them. So today I'm going to be recreating trains from a TV programme called Railway Roundabout. Now, Railway Roundabout began as a children's TV programme, which ran from 1958 and until the early 1960s. The series was created by Patrick Whitehouse and John Adams, who filmed and presented the shows themselves. And the programmes, or films if you want to call them films, showed real-life locomotives going about their work during a very significant period of British Railways history. Nationalisation had just occurred a few years previously, and the popularity of the railways was continuing to dwindle, and several lines were already beginning to close down. So in the end, Railway Roundabout transpired to be a fascinating and pretty valuable insight into some of the final years of steam on British railways. And these days, the collection of films is considered to be of national historic importance. And even though the films initially were intended for children, it's now reached a much broader range of audiences, and in fact, adult enthusiasts, and in fact especially adult enthusiasts, find them really fascinating and interesting. So today we're going to be looking at a little bit of Railway Roundabout. Now, online, on YouTube specifically, the original TV programmes in their original format, which were 20-minute shows I believe, aren't available. However, there is a user on YouTube called Mano Gwynart, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, he's got a great channel, and on there he's got sort of hour-long episodes, which are a bit of a collation, if you like, from multiple shows. So he's got quite a few, I think one from each year, transferred from VHS tapes, which he's very generously put onto YouTube. So today I'm going to be looking at the collection of footage from 1958. Now obviously for copyright reasons I can't show large portions of the show or anything like that, but obviously under fair use I can show screenshots and small clips because obviously what I'm doing here is completely transformative and I'm going to be commentating over the original clips. So let's start off then in 1958, just as the Heads of the Valleys line was closing down, and this is a line that used to be on the LNWR, and here we can see quite clearly a web coal tank double heading with a Super D. That's really quite interesting, never done anything like that before. Now the running numbers on these two, the Super D I believe was 58926, I don't think I've got that one, and certainly today, you know what I'm like, I'm not very good at recreating things historically accurately, so I'm not going to be able to get the correct running numbers all of the time, but hopefully it will look at least right. So we've got 5 coaches coupled to this double heading train, as you can see. Again, I'm going to just try and put an approximation together of those coaches, so let's get to it now and see what that looks like. So there you have it then, there is the web coal tank, and quite strangely she is at the front of the train, but obviously, you know, the Super D is the larger of the two locos, but it may not have been the fastest, so I don't know, it may be the fastest that always goes at the front. And anyway, I've tried to get the closest approximation that I can with my collection of the coaches seen on Railway Roundabout, so hopefully those will look okay. But for now then, let's give this beautiful little double header, well not that little, a little try. Never done this before I don't think, so hopefully this will be interesting. So there go the locos. And there go the coaches. A nice LNWR double header. I love it. Wow, what a lovely effect that is, seeing these two run together. Really quite unusual, isn't it? Let's get a shot of the coaches going by. Again, the coaches are just an approximation, a visual approximation. I'm not too sure how prototypical they really are. Blimey, look at them go. They work so well together as well, because in model form they're so nicely matched from Backman there, in terms of speed of course. Otherwise they're very different looking, but yep, they work together well. And there they go, off into the distance. What a great way to kick off. Absolutely love those two. Again, never put them together before, so I'm glad I have. Lovely. So now we're heading to Bath Road in Bristol, where we have the Bristolian train, number 473, I think it is. This is clearly a Castle class, as you can see, and the number there is 7018, if I can make that out properly. Hopefully I can. Now, clearly she is hauling some Western region coaches. They look pretty modern, they look like BR coaches, and I think the commentator on the actual show said that they were BR coaches, made up to look like Great Western rolling stock. So if you want to check out the main video, look at that if you want to. But basically the idea is that the Great Western spirit was conserved with this train. You've still got the beautiful looking locomotive in the beautiful green, and even though the coaches are quite modern, they've been made up to look like they would in the Great Western period. And I believe there's also a comment about the firebox being full to the brim in true Great Western spirit. So let's get one of my Castle class locos running then. So here's my best Castle. This is the Earl of St. Germans. It wasn't clear quite how many coaches I should have put on there, so I put on a decent rake of 7 just there. And don't you just think that is one of the nicest looking trains you have ever seen? Oh. And the Hornby Castle looks every bit as powerful as the thing in real life. Scaled down a little bit, of course. Well, that is just beautiful. Let's move on then and see what else we've got in store today from Railway Roundabout. So now on to the Cardigan branch then, which I think is in southwest Wales. Now first of all, you can see a 4500 class here. That's a Great Western loco. Now unfortunately I haven't got that one, but I did catch a glimpse of a little pannier tank running by with just one coach, so I thought I would run a little bit of that. And there she is, just a brief shot of her. I'm going to get her coming around this curve just like she did on Railway Roundabout, so there we go. The pannier with a single coach. So now then we're moving on to Fishguard Harbour, and you can clearly see here that there's a hall class. Now if I can make this out properly, I can't quite tell what the commentator said, but it sounded like Knowsley Hall, and I looked up the list of hall classes, and Knowsley Hall, I'll spell it out on the screen rather than spelling it out properly. I think that is the one that sounds most like what the chap was saying. Now you don't really get a brilliant shot of the consist here, so I did make some notes on what was said. Now, it was clearly a passenger train taking passengers from Fishguard, which I think is a dock, wasn't it? And there's also mention of banking, so I'm going to put another banker engine on the end. I'm not too sure which one it was. I don't think you actually get a glimpse of it on the show. Maybe you would have done on the original run, I don't know. But for this one, I'm just going to stick a pannier on or something like that. So let's take a look. And here's the hall then. Unfortunately mine isn't Knowsley Hall, mine is Pitchford Hall of course, but quite similar looking thing. Now because it wasn't clear exactly what sort of coaches she was hauling, I've just sort of taken a little bit of creative freedom there and chosen some of my own. These are the Cornish Riviera coaches, I love those. And also because there was mention of a banker, I have put the 14XX on the back there. Again, I don't really have any idea what the banker really would have been on that train, but the 14XX isn't going to be appearing in this video apart from just now, so I thought, why on earth not? So let's get this train going then, just like at Fishguard Harbour, I think it was. Yes, Fishguard Harbour. A nice looking GWR passenger train. Let's get that going at a decent speed. And there's the 14XX helping out at the back. Oh yes, there is something special about the Great Western engines, isn't there? Absolutely beautiful. And of course there's the 14XX. Let's go for a bit of a wide shot of the hall thundering down here, with her passengers from the harbour of course, probably going into a city or something like that. In fact, I'm sure it did say where they were going, so you'll have to watch the episode if you want to find out. So there you have it then, Pitchford Hall, pretending today to be Knowsley Hall, or Knowsley Hall, however you say it. Perhaps not the most realistic one of the day, but nice to include nonetheless. So next the show goes on to quite an interesting subject. It's called camping coach holidays, and basically, as I understand it, camping coach holidays were just a cheap kind of holiday. There would be a couple of coaches moved to a siding in quite a nice pretty place, and families, mostly boy enthusiasts I think, would go there and play football outside the coaches, as you can see there, and just have a nice time. Now I don't obviously have any camping coaches, maybe that would be a nice thing for some of the manufacturers to make, but you do catch a glimpse of this Great Western loco. This looks like a pannier tank to me with 2 coaches. The coaches look a little bit like Midland coaches, so I can definitely do that. I think actually they look most like my Railway Children coaches, so let's see what we can do to recreate the pannier train again then. So there you have it then, there is my pair of pretend camping coaches just sitting there in a disused siding, and you could just imagine, can't you, all those families which have young lads who like train spotting and that sort of thing. They'd come and stay in these coaches for a little while to have a cheap holiday, and you could just imagine, can't you, the young lads standing out in the front there waiting for a train to come by, and if we wait here long enough we should see that little pannier on the way. Yeah, there she goes, with two little coaches just like on the programme. So there you have it then, camping coach holidays. That is something I admit I had not heard of before today, so actually really pleased to have learnt something there. Okay, so the name of the next place we're going to visit will strike fear into the hearts of any railwaymen watching, and the name is the Licky Incline. Now, as you probably know, locomotives, steam locomotives specifically, really don't like hills, and I'm not just talking sort of Ben Nevis or anything like that, or Mount Snowdon. We're talking hills that you might not even realise are hills if you're walking on them. However, they will prove devastating to locomotives. Now, having said that, you can clearly see a horrendous looking incline here on the Licky line, and as such, a regular locomotive on its own was not enough to haul a big long passenger train, for example, and so bankers had to be employed. So first of all then, we have what looks like a standard class 5. Now, it may be a standard class 4 because I can't get a fantastic look at it, but I can just see on the start of the running number there, the number 73, which indicates that it's a standard 5, not a 4. But I could be wrong. Please let me know if you recognise it to be either a 4 or a 5 or something else. No, you know, I get things wrong sometimes. Now, there is a 9F following this train, and we could do that obviously. It might be quite difficult to do that, but I'll try it for sure. And it looks as though I've written down here approximately 9 coaches, so quite a big train for a standard 5. It'll be interesting to see if it can do that, but certainly once the 9F follows up and couples to it on Gordon's Hill, that should be interesting, so we'll do that. Then second up we have a black 5 and what looks like a GWR 4200 tank. Now unfortunately I don't have one of those, so I'm going to do something a little bit naughty here. I'm just going to put in something similar, so I think it's a 280, so I'll see if I've got any 280 tanks, or I might do something similar. So I'm sorry that this isn't accurate, but we want to run some more trains, so I'm going to run that one. That one looks like it's got 10 coaches, so again quite a big train. Definitely need 2 locos on that one, I think, at least on my layout. Now we need something on the inside line, so here we have an interesting one. This is a Jubilee, or a Jube as they're known. It's got a banker, a GWR banker. Not too clear which one it is, but that's okay. I can stick a similar looking Great Western logo on there. And if we take a look at the coaches there, you can see that there are, I make it 9. Again, quite hard to count because the quality isn't fantastic, but I'm going to stick 9 coaches on there. So some big trains to do today. Let's get those 3 running. So there is the black 5 banker train, and if I keep the camera here you'll see the coaches go by. Quite a big train, but there is a banker on the back here in the spirit of the Licky Incline. I've picked one of the Bachmann tank engines, not a 280 as was in the video because unfortunately I don't have one of those, but a 282. That's the 4575 class, I believe. And there goes the Jubilee, of course. Again with a similarly long train. I'll just let this go by so that you can see it. Lots of LMS coaches and that sort of thing, with yet another banker, and that is the 5600 class, I believe. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Again, I don't know whether that's exactly right for the show, but you don't get a really good look at the banker. There goes the back of the Jubilee train, with the lovely little Great Western tank engine at the back. And here comes the black 5 train again, once again with a huge amount of coaches. I mean, it's no wonder they needed help on such a steep incline, is it? But they seem to be going well. Okay, so as you can see in the background there, we have the 9F, and if I just let these the rest of this coach go by, you get a better look at her. She's actually ready to couple up to this train with the standard class 5, but as you saw in the video, she was chasing along behind the train, so I'm going to try and stage that right now. Right, let's give this a try, shall we? I'll give the 9F some juice. There she goes. And let's follow her, chase up the back end and couple. There we go, looks like she's got it. Okay, let's take a look at those go round, and there's the lovely Jubilee, of course. Let's have one more look at this Jubilee train, just because it's lovely. And by the way, the 9F you've just seen, of course mine's in BR green. I do actually have the BR black one, as would have been on Railway Roundabout, but that one's DCC fitted, and so if I tried to run it on DC with the other Loco, it would just fly around way too quick. So there she is, the lovely standard class 5, of course. I did look it up and I think it is a standard. And even if it's not, the black 5 is already in use right now anyway, so it had to be really. There go all the chocolate and cream coaches, and at the back, of course, we have the lovely 9F, shoving it up the behind, keeping it running nicely. So here it goes up Gordon's Hill, or the Licky Incline if you want to call it that today. And as you see, it's managed it. Now I reckon the Licky Incline must have been way steeper than Gordon's Hill is in real life. But still quite a nice fun thing to try, and we'll just wait here for that 9F to go by. Yeah, there she is. Lovely, really nice. Let's take a look at the Black 5 train one last time then. Then we'll move on to what's next. There it goes. Alright, fantastic. There it goes off into the distance then. And we'll move on to the next part. Well, we'll let the little 4575 go by once more, because she's lovely. Look at her. Yep, really nice that. So I have to do this one. This is quite an interesting looking one, an LMS themed one, also from the Licky line. I'm going to throw this one in. So you've got a 2P there, which has 4 coaches it looks like. 3 of them look like blood and custard, so that's okay, I can do that. And really interestingly, if we look, there's a Ginty on the back end. So we've got to try that, haven't we? So very quickly, here's the 2P and the Ginty. So there we have the 2 Ginties waiting in an empty siding together then, and then on the main line here comes well, it's the LMS 2P in BR Black with those 4 coaches as seen on the show. And now we'll move on to the banker version of the 2P. So we've got the 2P as before with the coaches, but now she's also hauling a tanker wagon, as you can see, and she's got the Ginty at the back as a banker. There we go, fantastic. Okay, let's move on to another location then, shall we? So next up then, we're visiting the Hayling Island branch. Now this is quite an interesting little branch line, because there was a wooden viaduct on there, which obviously means you can't have your big 9Fs running over it or anything. There were some quite severe weight restrictions, and so they ran loads and loads of terriers on there. Now I've only got 1 terrier, so I'm just going to do this section quickly just so that I didn't miss it out completely. I'm going to pick this little scene where you've got a terrier hauling what look like some open wagons. Of course I could do that, absolutely. So I'm going to get Whitechapel out. Obviously it's not Whitechapel in the clip, but it is a terrier, so let's do that and let's see what the terrier looks like with some open wagons. So there we are, there's the terrier in the 1 formation, looking pretty lovely there. And it is a shame that I've only got the 1 terrier, because there was some banking going on there as well, but I will do another formation for you. Let's try that out. So this is a slightly more unusual one. You've got the coaches which dwarf the Loco, a couple of wagons, another coach, and then a brake van at the back there. So there you have it then, folks, just a little terrier action. It wouldn't be the same without them, would it? So the final stop for today then is going to be Southampton Docks. Now primarily, well, judging by these video clips, primarily it looks like it was USA tanks which ran there. Obviously I can't really do that because I haven't got one of those. I have got Rosie from Thomas and Friends, but I think the enthusiasts would be a bit cross with me if I showed Rosie, so I'm not going to do that. But very luckily later on you see this Black 5, is it a Class 5 or a Black 5? I'm not too sure. It's got coaches anyway, and it passes an E1. Unfortunately I don't have an E1 yet. Backman are making one, but I don't have it just yet, so I can't run that one. But really luckily later on we do see an E2. Here she is, and she's pulling some wagons, about 4 I would say, and she's later seen with some box vans. So let's put a little train together for the standard 5. I'm going to double check whether it was a standard or a Stania 5. We need to get that right, and of course the E2, so let's do that. So there goes the Class 5 in front of the camera, just as it did on television all those years ago. And once the coaches have cleared out the way, it will leave the E2 in view just there. And if I get her started, you can see that she's also got the wagons. Nice gentle start there. There's the lovely, lovely, not Black 5, I keep wanting to say Black 5, but of course it is the standard. Is that particular Loco, and if I just focus out again, there we have the E2 coming from the docks. Or maybe to the docks, if the wagons are empty right now, I'm not too sure. Oh, beautiful, isn't she? Okay, let's see what else happened at Southampton. And then, as a bit of a finale then, we see the beautiful Battle of Britain class just snaking out of the shed there. This one is 229 Squadron. She is a Battle of Britain, so not a West Country or a Merchant Navy or anything like that. And it's not absolutely clear what she is hauling out there, so I'm going to put something that at least looks visually similar for you. And then finally we have this beautiful N15. I think it's an N15 or a King Arthur. And as you can see there, she's got some gorgeous Pullman stock on the back of her. So to finish off then, let's have a quick run with those two fantastic classic Southern engines. Alright, let's do it. So here we are then at one of my little sheds on the layout, and we're just waiting for the Battle of Britain class to come crawling out of there, so let her do that now then. There we go, looking fantastic. Let's keep the focus in. Mine is Spitfire, so obviously not quite the right one, but she's got some similar looking siphons or whatever it was on the real thing. So to finish then, there we have my N15, or King Arthur class as they called it on Railway Roundabout. Mine is Sir Levine, it's not quite the one that they showed, but just like in the show, I have coupled her up to some Pullman coaches. So let's focus on some of the Pullman coaches and we'll get this beautiful train started. So there we have Spitfire, or not Spitfire if you want to pretend it's the one from Railway Roundabout, and of course the very, very lovely King Arthur class. Mine is in a southern livery. I assume the one on TV would have been in a BR livery by that time, of course. And there she goes, taking all of her posh passengers from Southampton Dock, of course, taking them deep into the country, I assume. Get one last shot of the Bullet Pacific then, just because I love them so much. There she is. Not too sure if the siphons were actually what she was hauling, but they looked like them, so I thought why not. So that's it folks, that is a little bit of a recreation session from Railway Roundabout. Now if you enjoyed that and you want me to do more, please let me know. In fact, let me know in the poll. Be honest, if you really would rather watch me review locos or just do standard running sessions, then choose the fact that you don't want to see any more of this. I won't be offended, I'm more thick-skinned than that, and to be honest, I'd much rather be showing you guys what you want to watch rather than just, creating what I think you might want to watch. So be honest, let me know, and again, if you've got any other suggestions of videos I might want to do, let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for new ideas. But for now folks, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that, of course, and I will see you very, very soon. Alright, cheers everybody.